Welcome to Manning Golf, where I teach the simplest swing method you can possibly learn, the single plane swing. In this video, you're going to learn how to square the club face consistently in the easiest possible way. Squaring the club face consistently is almost impossible for everyday players unless you go about it in the right way, like you're going to learn in this video. In this video, you're going to learn what I believe to be the only way to consistently square the club face without having to practice for thousands of hours. And to do that, you need to not twist the club through impact. You need to have a golf swing that does not have to twist or flip to square the club face. You want a non-rotational golf swing where the club starts square and then impacts square without you having to make all these manipulations. And you come through the ball like this and not like that. So it comes in already pretty square. To achieve a non-rotational golf swing, I would say there are three things. The first thing is setting up with both of your arms in the right rotations. The second thing is gripping the club unique to you and to your rotations. And the third thing is turning correctly so that club comes with you and then you can release the club instead of not turning correctly and the club gets way behind you and you have to flip at the ball to make solid contact. So the first thing, and that's setting your arms up in the right rotations, and this is how we're gonna square the club face consistently without having to try super hard. Shots are just gonna go where you want them to go. And so this first step to getting your arms in the right rotation is you need to tuck in this trail arm, because at impact, this trail arm is going to be tucked in. From here to here, it's going to get tucked in the swing. So if you don't start here, but instead you start anywhere but tucked in, at some point in the swing, it's going to get tucked in, and that's going to leave the club face wide open. So instead, you want to already have your arm in that position that it's going to get to at impact. Start with it tucked in, and that way, it's always tucked in the swing, and you get back down to impact and the club is still square. So that's the first step in starting with your arms in the right rotations, is this arm needs to be tucked in when you're setting up to the ball, and that's really going to simplify everything for you. You start with it tucked in, and then you keep it tucked in the whole swing, tucked in, tucked in. So I'm going to make sure I have it nice and tucked in when I'm setting up to the ball, nice and tucked in there, and so it's going to stay tucked in when I swing the golf club. The second thing to square the club face consistently, and starting with your arms in the right rotation, is what you need to do with this forearm, the trail forearm here. So I said from your elbow to your shoulder needs to be tucked in, but what about from your elbow to your hand? Does that need to also be rotated this way? No. It's actually going to need to be rotated all the way the opposite way, and I'll quickly show you why that needs to happen. So I've now got a tennis racket and a dumbbell. So let's say I start with this forearm all the way rotated this way. This is square, this is like this. So if I swing this tennis racket fast around me, what's my forearm doing right here? It's just cocking back and cocking through. So to avoid all this twisting, which would be if you started with your forearm all the way this way, like that, you can actually start with it all the way this way, so your wrist works more like this, very square, cock back and cock through the ball. And there's also a very fundamental reason of why you also don't need to set up like this, but like this instead. So I'm gonna set up like this, and then I'm gonna turn. And you can see the dumbbell wants to shoot to the moon. Because if you just take any weight or get in rhythm swinging with your trail arm around you, you'll notice that to be in power and in balance and swing this thing around me, my forearm is rotated this way. So where is it at the top of the swing? My forearm's rotated this way, here. And that's going to make it very, very easy to square the club face, because the wrist is just going to go like that. It's already square, and you can release the club a little bit, just like this. Whereas if you start with a forearm like this, you're going to have to twist your forearm in the swing. So if I start with my arms hanging straight down in this position, the club is going to be wide open and I'm going to have to flip my hands at the ball. So I'm going to have to flip, and contact is just going to be really hard, and I'm really going to have to focus on squaring the club face up. Whereas if I start with my forearm in this position, closer to what Bryson DeChambeau does, then I can simply cock back, and then I come down, and then I uncock my wrist. So let's see a swing here, non-rotationally, cock the wrist back, and then uncock. So cock, turn, uncock. Cock, turn, uncock. And that is going to be the simplest way to square the club face for you. But that reason I was talking about, you won't be able to keep a tucked in trail arm if you start with your forearm like this, because it goes back to that positions of strength. Watch this trail elbow. I'm going to start with the forearm this way. See, it goes up here because it's trying to get to this position. So if you start here, it can stay tucked in better and go through the ball powerfully. And now I'm going to start with it over. Boom. See how much more tucked in that is? You need more tuck. When you get more tuck, you go like that. While this is tucked in, you go like that. And it stays tucked in with a very square club face. So we're still on step one of starting with your arms in the right rotation to very consistently square the club face in the easiest possible way. So what's a very easy way you can sabotage all this? Say you do those two things right, like I just said, you're here. Well, it also matters what you're doing with the other arm too. You also need the other arm in those rotations as well, or it will sabotage your golf swing. Because let's look at where this arm wants to go if I start in the right positions. But let's say this arm isn't in that position. What's the club gonna do? Your arm's gonna pick straight up. You want it to swing around you to also be in this position. And to do that, to swing my arm around me, look what position it's in right here. Rotated this way. So if I don't start with my lead arm and also that same position like this, but instead I have it not rotated like that, and I also start with that tuck, my arms are still going to want to pick up. And I literally just missed the ball. I was actually trying to hit it there. But what you want to do is start with your arm also in that rotation. Also in that rotation. So you can cock back and cock through. And I don't think I'll miss the ball this time. Cock back. Nope. Good shot. And now we're on to the fourth thing of starting with your arms in the right rotations. You just learned you need your arm, lead upper arm from your elbow to shoulder, also to be this way, just like this arm. So you can just cock back and cock through. Now let's look at this elbow to this hand. Same thing. If we start with this lead forearm not rotated all the way this way and hit a limit there, but we start here, this is going to throw off everything and the club's going to be wide open. Whereas if you start here and you keep it in that rotation the whole swing, all you have to do is uncock your wrist and the club gets back to square. So I'm going to start with my forearm rotated to the right, and you'll see it went super high right there. Didn't meet the ball well. It actually went straighter than I thought it would. And then this is with the forearm in the right position. And so you now know the rotations of here, 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 and here to consistently square the club face. And that's going to be unique to you. For instance, I can only rotate my forearm 45 degrees, whereas this I can rotate all the way. And from this angle, I can rotate this more than I can this arm. So this is going to be unique to you and something you'll have to implement in your own swing. And you can't copy another golfer with this. But you cannot possibly get your arms in the right position and hang your arms straight down. You can't do this. You have to be like this. And there's a very simple reason why, and it's what you learn with the forearm. Because if I hang my arm straight down with it tucked in, I can't rotate this forearm over. It has to be like this. But you just learned with the dumbbell, your elbow is going to fly to the sky because you're trying to get to that position. So the only way to start with this forearm rotated over is with a little bend to your arm. See here, I can't rotate it all the way over. See open club face? But I'm gonna bend it a little bit, and now my forearm can rotate over and the club face can square. And a very simple way to do that is you can just swing the club around you like this, and you'll see where your arm wants to swing on its natural swing plane right here. And your forearm will be rotated over because this is where you'll get to at impact. Okay, the second thing, and that is you just learned how you need to orient your arms. So now you need to grip the club square to that. So this arm needs to be in this position, and then I'm gonna grip the club. And then this arm needs to be in that position, and I'm gonna grip the club. Now I've gripped the club unique to me and my rotations, where all I have to do is cock back and cock through, and the club face will square for me. All right, let's try a little 7-iron here. This mat's trying to bend on me. So grip the club unique to me, cock back and cock through. And this is going to be the same grip with every single club. It's really that simple. Wedge, 7-iron, driver, 3-wood. I'll grab a 3-wood. All right. Let's back this mat up a little bit. All right, so here's 3-wood. Same thing. Same grip. Just like that. Oh my gosh, I killed that. Holy crap. So we've covered the first 2 of 3 steps, and so now we're on to the 3rd step, and that is you need to turn correctly in the swing, where these positions of the arms we started in, we can keep them in these rotations the whole swing, back and through. Because if you don't turn correctly, say I do my old swing, I would only be able to have these arms in this rotation here, so then my arms are gonna lift and they're not gonna stay in those rotations. So if you could just stand up and just swing your arms around you, you'll notice your arms stay in that rotation from here to there. So they're gonna stay in those rotations, but your turn can mess that up. See, your arms wanna swing in and around you. They don't wanna swing up and down. So you wanna let this natural swinging of the arms happen in your swing, as that's going to be how you swing your arms around you, you get to here, and then you can have a consistent release through the ball. So if your arms don't swing in and around like this, but instead they lift, they're no longer in the right rotations. And so then they can rotate to start the swing, get behind you, and boom, there's an open club face. So for consistency, you need your arms to stay in this position the whole swing. So if you do any lifting of the arms at all, they're no longer in the right rotation and you're gonna have an open club face, or you could find a way to release it and your hands aren't leading through the ball because you didn't turn properly, and now you can hook it. So you can get right, you can get left, you can all these things. So how can we turn correctly in the swing? So I'm gonna aim in the middle of the net here, and so we're gonna see what lifting the arms can do. And you can see that ball went high and out to the right, and that's what most people struggle with. So we wanna swing our arms in and around us. Right there, I lifted my arms. And then you've got the other miss. So I'm gonna aim about right here, and you'll see the ball go about right there. So I'm gonna do the opposite problem here, and I'm gonna lift my arms, but then I'm gonna get stuck. I'm gonna try to drop my arms and shallow the swing. We wanna already have a shallow swing, but I'm going to try to drop my arms, and then I'm gonna early release, and now it's gonna hook. Instead of slicing it, I'm gonna hook it. Wow, that was awful. Okay, I'm back. Hopefully you can see how inconsistent that is. Completely missed the net there. And a dumbbell can quickly show you what can happen if you lift your arms. So instead of in and around like this dumbbell wants to swing, you don't turn to allow that, and you're so focused on hitting the ball, you don't turn, you lift your arms. So from here you can slice it, or you can do what I just did and try to shallow it, and then the results are disastrous. So what you want to do is get a good turn, swing in and around, and then back in and around. And that's going to be very consistent. So a hula hoop can really show us the correct way to turn in golf to make it as easy as possible. So if we're standing straight up and down, this hula hoop is flat because we're just turning. There's no tilting in the swing. And however much we bend over, we want to turn 90 degrees to that, to have this consistent movement in and around us where the club face can square. And the club face isn't going to do, if you do anything other than that with the hula hoop, the club face isn't going to do anything else too. So however much you bend over is however much you want to turn. So a lot of you can get on here and go, oh, I'm stuck right here. And if you drop your trail foot back, you can really feel what this feels like to swing around you. So this is the drill I would have you do, is to drop your trail foot back so you can swing around you and really get this feeling of swinging around you instead of up and down. So I'm going to swing around me, and that is going to help my arms stay in the right rotation the whole swing, because it's really going to help open up my hip. So as you get older, it's going to be really hard to get that good hip turn in the swing where you can turn around you and open up that hip where you can turn like this. Because if you don't turn your hips enough, you'll look like this and your arms will lift. But if I fully get that good hip turn, now I can turn good. So I'm going to focus on getting that weight a little bit forward. And you can even try to preset that hip turn when you're setting up where you can swing around you. And that way you'll have a good turn. So I'll even get my weight and turn a little bit more. So I swing around me and boom, a good shot. Disastrous things happen when you don't turn enough. So you want to be able to turn enough in the swing. And this drill right here can really help with that. But I've watched so many YouTube videos, and I really don't think someone describes it like I do. But this is the easiest way I've found to consistently square the club face every single time. In the easiest way possible is you need to start with your arms in these rotations where you can just cock back and cock through. And you don't want to grip the club closed with how you grip that, because then the club face is just going to be closed. So you need to grip it square, and then so you don't lift your arms and then anything can happen, you want your arms to work like this, in and around. And you can see the club face is squaring every time. And so to swing in and around, you need to turn around you. And this drill can really help with that, in and around. So those are the three things I would do if I wanted to square the club face more consistently and not have to practice for thousands of hours and still hit good quality golf shots. So for those of you that are new to the channel, I teach the single plane swing method, and I believe it is the easiest swing method you can possibly do to hit consistent golf shots. What you learned in this video is a lot about how to square the club face by starting on your swing plane correctly with your arms in the right rotation. And that's fundamental 1 of 4 fundamentals that I teach. I have a full course step-by-step where you can learn your unique single plane swing, just like you did a little bit in this video, but it's more step-by-step through all the fundamentals, how you can customize it to your swing. So that first fundamental, you learned a little bit about that in this video, and that is setting up on your unique swing plane. And that is how your arms uniquely swing around you are going to be, unique to you. And so you can set up to this because we're trying to have the club come in square, running into the ball in the easiest way possible. So you swing your arms around you and you see where the club goes, and that's right there in the positions you learn in this video. The second fundamental is turning correctly, and you also learn that with a hula hoop. So golf is played on a tilted angle, and however much bent forward is the angle you need to turn on, and I have many drills where you can learn how to turn correctly. And so the third fundamental is keeping your weight centered in the swing, and you're staying over the golf ball the whole swing. You're not shifting off the ball. And this is how you can retain good contact. And it's the only way you can turn correctly, which is fundamental 2. And this is going to ensure good contact with the ball because you're never shifting off the ball, you're staying over it, and you get good contact. And the fourth fundamental is keeping your lead arm straight. So look at this position my trail arm wants to swing at. It wants to stay tucked in the swing. So I can't get here with a bent arm. Whereas if I straighten my arm, boom, I'm on my swing plane, how I can swing around me. And you just learned how important that is to square the club face in and around. So you need that to swing low in and around. And that is really going to help you square the club face. So that's a quick run through of the 4 fundamentals that I teach for the easiest method you can do to hit a golf ball. And like I said, you can find that over at manninggolf.com in the description of this video. But I hope this video helped you, and this is how I go about squaring the club face, because I wish there was a simpler way. I know I said a lot of details in this video, but they are necessary if you're trying to square the club face consistently in the easiest possible way. Hopefully I simplified it enough where you could follow along and I didn't lose you, because I know, golf can be complicated sometimes. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found some helpful tips, and I hope the rest of your day goes well.